Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch a Movie. I'm Mike. He's Jay. I said, God damn!
Say it again.
God damn!
Okay. That's enough. Don't double it up.
Spoiler reviews.
Can't even talk.
Step into sucking the dick. We watched a movie. This is the spoiler review for Stranger Things. That fucking badass, radish shit 80s, fucking 90s Stephen King, J.J. Abrams had sex with E.T. and then someone came on and John Carpenter was like, I want a piece of that. You knew what you were in for right away because the first fucking episode, that music, that Halt and Catch Fire, it reminded me of Halt and Catch Fire. That music that comes on in the badass Stranger Things, the Stephen King font on the chapters. And I don't think people today might not get that, but people our age are gonna fucking love this show. Because we used to sit around like that, except for we would trade. We didn't ever play Dungeons and Dragons.
No.
There was no Demogorgon.
No, know that.
But we probably could have.
Well, I didn't know. I never understood. I didn't understand Dungeons and Dragons, and I don't even now.
So. What we would do is we would trade like compact discs. We would trade movie soundtracks.
Yeah.
Like we had the Scream soundtrack.
Dude, one time,
yes,
but one time Mike and I and my brother went to Tennessee, and we actually got we got fucking butt fucked all the way back to Kentucky because we bought a soundtrack of Halloween for $22.
Not really. This isn't that kind of a dark story.
Well, no, we didn't really get butt fucked. I had this $22 soundtrack of Halloween, okay? It was the first time I'd ever seen it. And I was like so excited. I was like, oh my god, it's Halloween!
Cody bought I think he bought all the Rocky soundtrack CDs.
He
bought all the CDs that...
Yeah,
No. You bought Rocky.
I bought Rocky.
You bought Rocky.
I bought Rocky.
Cody bought the first ever Michael Myers mask we had. It was at this fucking shop, and his parents gave us each... I wasn't even their fucking kid. They gave me $40.
I had just got my first CD player, so I was listening to Rocky 4 the entire time after I bought it in the car, and it had that DASP. You know, the protection, like the skip protection. And I was listening, I was like, God, dude, this is so good, man. And Cody was like, dude, I will give you anything for that CD. I'll give you anything. I was like, give me your mask and give me your soundtrack. And he was like, there you go. And I only paid like $15 for that. And Cody had spent like all of his money on a mask and a fucking CD. I was like,
good times, man. Good times.
But that's what it reminds me of, like the trading and the camaraderie and just the fucking each other over, but having a good time at the same time.
Fuddruckers.
Yeah, it was a good time. But this is what this show does. It captures that spirit. It captures the spirit of the 80s. It captures that spirit of camaraderie, like I mentioned, and just people trying to get through being young and going through life. And that's what it does exceptionally well. And I don't know, man, like when you say that there is love letters to people that grew up in the 80s and 90s. I think there's also love letters, and we already mentioned it, to John Carpenter, to Stephen King, to Steven Spielberg, to all those great classic
I like when
directors.
his dad walks in and he's like, his dad comes back and he gets his mom drunk. He's there for the money, by the way. He's a dick. He's a handsome dick, though, man. That's a handsome guy.
You said handsome dick.
I like women, and I didn't see his dick. I know. I like women 100%. But that's a handsome dude. And I'll say when a dude's handsome.
Which one?
That's his asshole stepdad. I can see why he can just float from family to family.
Oh, yeah.
No, he comes in and he's like, I like when the Evil Dead poster's there, and he's like, that's inappropriate. Take that shit down.
I love that. Again, throwing some love out to fucking Raimi's.
11 comes out, and she's this product of this weird Stephen King type underground, like Area 51
She's
type
a fire starter. Fossalter.
Matthew Modine is the perfect dick face. I mean, he was the asshole cop in
The
Dark Knight.
Guy.
If you're trying to figure out where he was, he's been in a bunch of shit, but where I remember him mostly from, he was the asshole cop trying to catch Batman in The Dark Knight Rises.
But he was
the one that wouldn't come out of his house to help.
Yeah, but he's the quintessential bad guy from the 80s.
Yeah, he did a great fucking job. He was an asshole to her, and then she comes out and she's got all these powers. I actually thought she was the monster. But when they show the monster for the first time, it's this fucking gangly thing. Let's talk about the monster for a minute, because they showed it in several different forms. Ultimately, it was a fucking gigantic Venus flytrap a la fucking Resident Evil. It really reminded me of Resident Evil.
Well, that's right. You mentioned that. I actually thought the same fucking thing. That's why we're fucking best friends.
Yeah!
But it looked like the liquor. Resident Evil.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looked like. When you mentioned that to me, I was like, that's exactly what I thought too. It's not no skin, no face, and it's like this, it's a carnivore, it eats whatever it can take. And the whole plot is revolving around this girl is able to transport or see into the upside down, is what she calls it. Basically a Silent Hill kind of alternate world.
That too.
Alternate world of ours. So everything's the same except it's darker and more gritty and more disgusting than our world. And this creature lives there, and because that asshole from the Institute, Hawkins Laboratory, who runs it, was doing these experiments on Elle's mother, these LSD weird experiments to try to expand the mind. She was pregnant at the time. Elle is the product of that. They stole that baby, and because of all these experiments, she has these telekinetic, telepathic abilities. She ripped a hole in our fucking dimension into this other dimension, which allows that creature to come back and forth.
My favorite character in the whole show was the sheriff, though. They show his opening sequence when he's all fucked up and he's taking pills and drinking stuff. That's not why I like him, but he's in the mirror and he's just looking at himself smoking cigarettes. And he walks in the office, he's like, coffee and contemplation. But he's so fucking deep and he had so much going on and he's such a lovable big motherfucker.
Yeah, that's alright.
That's okay.
You can go with that.
Judges? But
one said no. Fuck you.
But he's so fucking good, and his whole storyline with his daughter, man, I actually teared up in the final quintessential scene. He's trying to save the kid, and it finally breathes, and you get this, you feel his sense of relief, like I couldn't save my daughter, but I
fucking cats.
I finally saved this kid, man. Like I literally teared up at that scene. It was so fucking
You know what
good.
I thought he was gonna get with Winona Ryder at some point.
I want him to.
I think
he already banged her. He banged everyone.
Did he?
He banged the librarian. You remember he's like, the librarian? He's like,
yeah, but you know, that scene reminded me of my life. Because when he walks in, she was like, you have a lot of nerve walking here. I was like, why? She's like, because you didn't return any of my calls. Like, did.
One thing I forgot to mention in the other review. What's great?
What, Mike?
I'll tell you. There's multiple points in this where they do the fucking original Friday the 13th, or not Friday. Fuck my father says
Okay.
but Nightmare on Elm Street when she's going around the house setting up booby traps.
That was cool.
Where they're like getting ready and they're making their plans.
Oh yeah,
preparing for the monster to come. The bear trap. All the shit they did.
You're talking about the
when he's hammering the nails into the bat.
Yeah, you're talking about the high school kids. Yeah,
that's the best thing. And there was not just the high school kids, the young kids did it too. There were so many scenes of it was the best thing in the world in the 80s when your heroes would go, Bill and Ted, when they went to the fucking tool store and they started putting all that shit in the cart. There was something about the 80s where people loved to go back and either set traps, buy stuff to set traps, or mechanically. Even Steven Seagal did it in Marked for Death when he goes back and he's starting to put all the guns together. There was something about the 80s.
You know what?
You had to stock up.
If I was going to have a supernatural creature break into my home, I'd probably do the same thing.
It was awesome.
It ingrains you. When you're growing up watching these movies, it ingrains something in you that you have to do this. It's Macaulay Culkin all over. And by the way, I was going to tell you. Commando, yeah.
Commando.
Well, there's all sorts of Predator. I also got a lot of Little Monsters.
Yeah.
Little Monsters.
Yeah.
Little Monsters.
Definitely.
Yes, because Howie Mandel and Fred Savage and Ben Savage, you remember that movie? They go into a different world when they go under the bed. And when they get to go rescue Ben or Fred Savage's little brother, they strap on all the lights and shit and they go down there, they get all the shit ready and the traps and stuff. That's what it reminded me of. It was just this cool, it's scary because you know, like what I'm saying, this film has got some scary scenes in it. It's got some intensity moments to it. But it's got like, when they're strapping up and ready to go, like, I'm right behind you kids, fucking do it. And you know, it's like, it gets you pumped up. You're scared, but at the same time, you're like hopeful and you're excited. The thing is, this show blends all the good stuff that everybody loved about the 80s and 90s together. Excitement, adventure, horror, science fiction, all of it comes together in such a great way, and I really hope that this thing continues on for like 18,000
Yeah, dude, and let's talk about that, by the way, wrapping it up. Let's talk about the last episode. Let's get into real deep fucking spoiler territory. Now,
we're deep.
The last episode.
Now we're deep. How's that feel?
The only thing that fucking pissed me off, deeply was that the love story between the teenage girl and Edward fucking Furlong.
Fuck that shit. I hated that. That part.
I know it wasn't Edward Furlong, but that dude should be John Connor today. He's just like fucking Edward Furlong.
Yes, that girl goes back to that douchebag that he beats the shit out of.
Well, she gives him a kiss on the cheek and she gives him a camera and everything's the way it should be. I was pissed initially when he did all this shit to be the hero. He set up the traps, he did everything, and then fucking Andrew Garfield's evil fucking cousin comes back in the house and is like just swinging the bat around. Yeah, and he has to save the fucking day.
Yeah, and then he's like laying on the couch, he's like, did you give him the gift? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, so that motherfucker bought it after he broke it, that piece of shit? He reminded me of, you know what, I think they should have just played Love Stinks. Because it would have been, like, I felt so sorry for that guy. That guy,
the girl
risked his life. That guy went in a fucking tree to get his girl out. Yeah. He went into a tree, and where'd that bitch go? He was writing slut on the fucking marquee in the downtown theater. Piece of shit.
I mean, he was, as far as bullies and asshole and douchebag preppy characters go in these shows, he was three-dimensional. He did.
I mean, I'm not saying
I liked him okay, but he still shouldn't have got the fucking girl.
No, dude. Here's where it gets weird. This is where I love this though. I love the weirdness. I love how it's like it leaves it out in the air and you're like, what's going on? I love this. When they get back to the real world from the Upside Down, Winona Ryder and she's got her kids back and everything's good and they're having like this little Christmas dinner. The youngest kid goes in the bathroom and he pukes up that slug. But when he pukes up that slug, because he's been coughing and shit, the world kind of flickers in and out. Yeah. So I'm thinking like, so you have that inside you, you got worms. Bro,
I got worms.
You need to go to the veterinarian. but he's got worms. And he's coughing this thing up. When he coughs it up, the lights flicker and shit, and he goes back to sit with his family like, oh, nothing happened. Now, does that mean that he's going to be the next monster? I don't know. Then it shows the sheriff going out in the woods, leaving Eggos in that little basket for... Because Elle was supposedly dead.
That's super confusing. That's really confusing to me because A, she disintegrated when she saved the fucking day.
Well, did she? Because you don't know.
But yeah, but I mean,
she
literally on screen she disintegrated, right?
No, the monster did.
Well, yeah, but she went... I think she went into the underworld, so I'm really confused about where Elle is and what's going on with that. But he leaves her Eggos in that fucking box. At first, I was like pissed. I was like, oh, so her happy ending is she gets to live in the fucking cold forest and eat goddamn Eggos out of a goddamn box?
Well, that's not so bad.
But we don't know what's going to happen with that. Maybe she's on the other side. Maybe she's in this world.
That's another.
They'll tell that story in the second season.
Is it going to be her? Is she going to be the monster now, or is it going to be the little boy? Or is the monster dead? Because I didn't think of that. And when he puked the slug up and it went into the drain, would that slug, because he didn't kill the slug, it could like evolve into the next monster.
Yeah. I don't know.
Who the fuck knows?
Leave it up for, there's
That's
a lot of
why I love
mystery.
it.
And I did read, by the way, that they said we left it up for a second season. We believe that it would be successful enough to go into a second season. And they were like, we have like 30 pages of shit explaining the underneath. Or what's it called?
Upside down.
The upside down. That we didn't feel like we had time to explain in the first season. And good thing they didn't because it flowed so damn well. But I think in the first episode of next season, we're going to see Andrew Garfield's evil cousin get killed off immediately. And then Edward Furlong's going to swoop in and take that girl for himself.
You know, I agree with you in a way, but I also think Winona Ryder will be killed off.
I hope not. I like her
because, you know, I liked her too, but I think the reason why is because she's got Beetlejuice 2 coming up. I mean, they can't keep her up. I mean, they can't keep her on there. The show's great. The music's great. Everything about it's 80s nostalgic. They promised you, and they gave it to you. So, go watch it.
I give it a 9.5. Jay gives it a 10. I think it's a fucking amazing show. We both love the shit out of it. Comment down below. Let us know what you guys think is going to happen in Season 2.
Okay, Vincent.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Hey, right.
Let us know what you guys think is going to happen in Season 2. We love your fucking faces. If you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button and get some goddamn wham up in your hammer. Don't hurt them.
There you go. Okay.